Now, this is a broadcast with Natalie, who is my fellow Shibari healer. And yeah, let's see how she can join in right now. And she's here to share a bit more about her work with ropes. And I must admit that not many people around the world are practicing the art of tying as part of some healing or transformational practices. And she's one of the few who are like that. So it's really thrilling to connect and to actually find out what is the art of Shibari for her. Hi, Natalie.
Hey.
Now it's working. Beautiful.
Yes, I'm happy.
It's nice to connect with you from New York and stay in touch with Thailand.
Hello from Thailand. Hello from beautiful Thailand.
Thailand is the place where I learned so much about Shibari from, I think, our mutual friend, Tati.
Yeah.
I'm really missing Thailand and I'd love to visit sometime. How is your day?
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Preparing for this and Kopangan Day, everything is in the mystery when it's here. You wake up not knowing how your day will go and somehow you end up in the right place with the right people.
Beautiful. That's where I've learned how to be more spontaneous and in the flow. This island means a lot to me, although
Mm,
like I'm bringing this state of flow to New York because it's really inside of us and we can really
right,
where we can just get inspired from one person, one place, and then take it somewhere. And
right.
to our topic, because I'm super thrilled for Shibari, and it's nice that we can connect and collaborate and actually
Yeah.
get inspired from each other and then hopefully inspire others because there are people joining our broadcast live right now, but there are some people.
Yeah, wow, so many people.
Yeah, there will be those who watch it later because not everyone is
Yeah,
available right at this moment, so it will be saved
yeah.
so others can watch. And I'm so thrilled to ask you more about your practices.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really honored. I love you and your work, and I'm really happy to have this dynamic with you, and especially going live to the world together. So
Yeah,
thank you.
thrilled to have you as well because not many people practice ropes as an art of healing. No,
Right.
seriously, it's really hard to find. It's a very rare profession these days. It's something very new and something that people have don't know much about, but once they find out, a lot of people have either excitement or fear or some kind of judgments or some kind of like expectations. So there is a lot of mystery around what we do, and that's why I feel like it's one of my missions to share more and uncover what it means to me, what it means to others, so we can actually learn from it and we can use it
Right.
to possible potential. So that's why I'm here to ask you more about this. Please share a bit
Yeah.
more yourself, since my followers probably don't know who you are.
So, yeah, I guess I got into ropes when I was living in Israel. Ropes is just one of the things that I do. I guess my gift to the world, or my understanding, or my message to the world is surrounding surrender and vulnerability in all its forms. So I like to touch many tools or many ways to allow different kind of people to experience different kind of practices that actually all have the same message, is how can I surrender more, how can I let go, how can I show myself more, how can I allow all of me to be seen. So it's yeah, I love the ropes very, very much, and it's definitely one of the big practices that I do to show this, to meet fears, to get over fears, um, as well as many other things.
Amazing. And I would love to learn how it started for you.
So I would say the ropes started for me, like I said, in Israel. I was invited to a workshop. And actually, I was in the consensus of the people that I'm actually giving my message to. And I said, "What is Shibari?" And they were like, "It's a form of bondage." And I said, "No, this is not for me." No, it was a really clear no. And I didn't go to the workshop, you know, it was just there. So I know what it's like to judge this practice very much because I was the one judging. And then, like a couple of months later, I was invited to another workshop, and someone asked me to go to Shibari. And this time I knew it was Shibari, but I knew it was a no for me. And I said, no, I'm not into this. And it was my friend, and he said, please, I really need a partner, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up going into this workshop with him, really not happy to go, to be honest. And from that day, that evening, my life changed. I didn't know that I would end up practicing it like I am now, but as at the point of just being someone experiencing Shibari, that changed for me in my personal life, in my relationship with my inner masculinity, which was at the time very immature. It was my gateway to a very new connection with myself.
Wow, beautiful. I can completely relate about judgments because I was a professional dominatrix for a decade, and I haven't practiced Shibari in my work because,
Ah.
you know, I was just taught that the quicker you restrain someone, the better. So I was using like cuffs, shackles, like click, and it's done. Like someone is restrained. What's the point of spending so much time like tying someone? So it didn't make sense to me. And then as I would be invited for some events about Shibari, I was just like you, like, what's the point? Like just sexy Japanese women being tied up in sexy positions. It's not what I do. My clients are mostly men, and it's not the same. So I was avoiding it at any cost until I really, really found out the whole potential of what it's all about. So it's pretty fascinating. We pass through our own judgments before we
Right,
enter and
right.
for this transformational potential. And why do you think? Do you still believe people have it's a taboo, like the ropes, and people are afraid?
Sure, they do, and I even understand it because I was that person, you know. And I know that when people even think about the ropes or even think about coming into a situation where they will be tied, I can understand that disgust, that fear, that translation of what they think it is and what they think the experience will be like. I can really understand it. And that's why I always need to have this conversation with people on my side. And this is why I have been uploading to my personal social media a lot of images that really shock people. They can't believe like a good girl like me is putting up these pictures. They don't understand the connection. Some of them think I've gone crazy, you know, like what is this girl into? But it takes time to show that there is another way, a beautiful, beautiful journey in these ropes. And this is my message. You know, this is my message. Some will hear, some will not. And that's okay.
Beautiful, wow. And but for you personally, since you've experienced it firsthand, what can you share some of the beauty of your experience? Because we keep speaking that it can be so much, but then
Yeah.
many not relate. What does it really mean to go through a deep, powerful, transformational journey in the ropes? Like maybe you can share one of your journeys, personal ones, so we can connect a bit more to what it's do.
Yes, I can. So, a personal journey of me being tied. I guess one of my strongest experiences was when I was tied by Tati, our beloved Tatiana. She took me to a beautiful secluded beach here in Kopangan, and she was going to suspend me from a tree there. And so it's a really beautiful, beautiful story actually, because we woke up really early in the morning because we wanted to miss the sun. So I woke up at 6 a.m. and I woke up from a dream. And in my dream, I was holding a baby who is my daughter actually, and she was crying, but her cry was silent. She was like roaring pain out of her mouth, but there was no sound coming out. This was a dream that I didn't really connect it to anything. I was like, okay, I had a weird dream, went to Tatiana. We went to the beach, and then she looked at me and she said, Natalie, can I tie your hair? And I thought she's gonna tie my hair in ropes, and I said, of course. But then she sat behind me and she started braiding my hair, and I said, no, 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 I don't I don't like my hair to be braided. And she said, Natalie, if you want me to take out the braids later, I will take them out. So I was like, oh, okay. And then she started tying me, and I started feeling a lot of pain in my body. And all of a sudden I had this image, this very random image of when I was 12 years old, and my parents got divorced. And there was one image that I remembered in that moment, and that was my dad left the house, and my mom had changed the locks of the door. And he came home one day and he tried to put the key in, and the key wouldn't work because my mom had changed the locks. And he started breaking the door down, and me and my mom and my brother were sitting behind the door shaking, and he was, you know, very angry, and the door almost crashed down, but it didn't. And he left. And I remember as a 12-year-old, I was the oldest, so I didn't even cry that pain at that time. I was totally numb, really being the older sister, the stronger one for the family. And I never cried that pain. And that pain began to arise in me in the ropes. And I began to cry, but again, the cry wasn't really coming out of my throat. It was like small wails, like silent crying. And that's when Tatiana started playing with wax. And slowly I was bringing out more and more vocal from my throat. And once she reached my throat, I began to scream. And for the first time in 25, 30 years, however long ago that was, I cried that pain that I didn't cry when I was 12. And it was so healing. My life has changed since that therapy, really. My breath has changed, my voice has changed. Things have changed and moved inside of me since that therapy. So it was very profound, very profound.
That's, I could feel it as you shared, and thank you so much for this vulnerable sharing. And it brings us to this really beautiful point of shadow work, because so many people think, why would you go back in the past? Past is gone, forget about it, work on your future goals, reach them. But I truly believe that you reach something beautiful in the future by integrating your past, because all those past traumatic memories that are stored in our psyche, in our body, in our unconscious mind, these are the ones that are stopping us from achieving something beautiful we want. And I'm so convinced about this, because it could be like some new age theory, right? Like many people think, of course, all this new age stuff these days about Carl Jung and the unconscious minds. But I confirmed it on my own experience. And this is also relates to the rope journeys, but of course there are other modalities where you can go into your shadow. But it's really fascinating how by removing some blockages from the past, some things that were stuck there, some fears of your childhood, some anger that you couldn't express before, some tears that you didn't have a chance to cry, you're actually just feeling lighter in your body. Your facial expression changes, your voice changes, your gestures change, and then your changes, because all of a sudden you're more integrated and you can reach higher goals and effortless, not by struggling getting there, but more spontaneously, like just attracting, like being magnetic, like field for attracting beautiful just by being yourself. So I'm really inspired about this journeys, this work, because I can see that it's not just some self-digging just to get out of boredom, but it's actually a profound tool for transformation. By you being doing this, you are sharing it with others, so it's
Right.
actually changing the world for better by trying hard to do something externally, but the internal work makes you as an example that change is even possible because people can see how you change. So I'm
Right.
really how you shared, and I can also share about Tati because it's our mutual friend and teacher.
Right. Right.
I have two main teachers, Bodhi Zapa, the Shibari healer, who is used to be on Pangan, and now he's in Bali, and he comes to New
Mm-hmm.
York time to time. I hope he's coming this year, and he's one of the first people who really inspired me into ropes. That was my very first rope journey with Bodhi, and which also was such a profound breakthrough through my like so many layers of my shadow that I couldn't meet otherwise. It was really hidden so deep below the surface. So just because of his ropes, I had no escape at all, and I had to meet myself there. But then I met Tati on Pangan, and she just gave me like a very quick samplers of her journeys, like 10 minutes quick ones. And even those quick ones were so beautiful and deep, like how I could just connect to my feelings. Like example, like one day I just felt irritation in me. I didn't know why. And she had this kind of style of tying me for 10 minutes, really like fiery, like, move, like tying me,
Oh,
tying.
she's so good.
And that was like so beautiful because like, oh, she matches my field, like she could really match my energy. And then it didn't feel like that's something evil because like many women, I have a tendency to repress my anger because it feels like it's something evil that will destroy things. But the way she matched the energy with the ropes, I was like, oh, I could relax into like this beautiful fiery goddess energy. It felt so juicy, so special. Like there was this element of fire, rebelliousness, like drive, motivation, and all of a sudden, like this anger got infused into something beautiful, which was a very quick reminder that, like, hey, like your anger is not evil, it's not bad. Use it. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like everything else is part of who we are. It's just within 10 minutes, like it just changed my day, changed my week, I feel, because the energy was lingering in me and I didn't know what to do with this. So what can change within few hours of
Mm-hmm.
proper tying with a good master. But then it comes the question, what does it really mean to be a great master? I'm curious, what would be your take on that? Because you are now practicing on others and you are also receiving this probably from time to time. We all receive, right? So then we all learn and remember and recognize what are the qualities of a good Shibari master that you could trust. Some, because of course many people can just tie you up, but
Right.
what does it take to be a really skillful, wise, like good master? What do you think?
I can just say from my experience, of course, but I have been tied from a number of masters, and for me, if there isn't a very deep level of listening to the person you are tying, one master, he tied me and suspended me, and I was in so much pain, and beyond a regular pain, like I was really, really in a dangerous kind of pain. And it was also my fault because I wasn't able to completely communicate my reds and my yellows. So I take my responsibility there, but I know many other women being tied by this person, and there are a lot of injuries there. There's a lot of ego there. There isn't a synchronization between the person and the tire. And some people like that. Like that's their style. Their style is the torture and the pain and that is a style, that people like to play with. And that's not what I like, not to give and not to receive. When like, my masters, for example, Tati, when she tied me, like she was so professional, and at the same time she really knew how to play with the four elements, which I loved. I loved that she could be in 1 second fire and then water, so soft and loving and nurturing and motherly, and then airy, like almost not touching her, and then she could really be grounded me, and she could, through her energetical transmissions and her love, I could really dive into my inner journey so well, so deeply, so trustingly, knowing that I'm in good hands no matter what I'm going through. So I think there's two very different sides to rope. And this is why I think that it's very misunderstood, because there is this darker side of it. And I would say that probably that side is more common, more in the movies and more in porn and more in, this is how it came to the West, through the darker sides of BDSM. And then there's a whole nother side, the side of the healing, the side of the journeys and the surrender and all of that. And people are less knowledgeable or less educated or less know that this exists. And this is why I do what I do, and this is why you do what you do, and this is why Tati does what she does, and Yuval, and there's many amazing riggers that I know that come into this world from the place of healing, sacred rope, sacred surrender. But it's not like that with every master, so it really depends on what you like. There are people that want this unapologetic, take me to the deepest, furthest, darkest place, and that's okay too. It's just not what I do, and it's not what I connect to.
Wow, beautiful. And just can you share a bit more about your offerings? Like what is what you're sharing with others? What are your offerings?
So my offerings, like I said, so I'm working a lot with rope healing. I give private sessions and group sessions and group workshops. And I really also recently love the aesthetic and the art and the photographic beauty of the rope. It's really something that I'm very much into now. In addition, I also teach a workshop called The Art of Sensual Couple Dance, with, I guess it's the same, just without ropes, surrender and leadership and, vulnerability in many of its forms. And then I also do and guide erotic explorations, both with men and women, and some only with women. So this has been a really big field that I'm very interested in and love to guide, and really love to show people an unconventional side of touching their wounds and their fears and their desires without being in 10 years of therapy.
It's so exciting. How can you share a bit more about those temple explorations? What are those?
The erotic explorations, well,
What's
they
going on?
are, I mean, they are sexual temples, or temples where you explore sexuality or eroticism. They are very different from sex parties, where there's usually not so much journeying into the inner wounds and fears. Erotic explorations is really about doing that, meeting ourselves, our sexuality, bringing our sexual shame from the shadow to the light, and bringing this journey in a group of people where it's not hidden under the blankets or behind your locked door, but bringing your shame and your fears and your wounds to this group. And hopefully by the end also bringing the desires, and how wide the desire. So many people are ashamed of their desires, and allowing this expression of sexuality to be more and more natural.
Wow, that's something that is so needed, because although we live in this 21st century where everything is possible, it's still, there are lots of misunderstandings, taboos, boundary violations. Like people are not understanding when to say yes, when to say no. People not
Right,
understand, express their desires properly, and how to
right.
be you know, how to give aftercare, how to approach someone. There are so many things that people don't understand, and it's really amazing that there are those like you who could create some playgrounds for explorations, and these are not just wild places you just do whatever you want, but actually
Right.
explore it with proper guidance and consent and understanding of what you.
Right. And also, like, for me and my experience, cleaning my sexual wounds really allowed life force to flow through me cleanly and clearly, you know, and that changed my whole life. That really changed my whole life. The sexual life force is what makes us alive.
Yeah, so again, so much misunderstanding about those. Like people would say that sexuality is just about having penetrative sex, but it's actually penetrate all your life because your sexual energy is what you're really made of, all your
Right,
creativity, life force,
right,
your motivation, everything you do is made out of it. And how can we make it so aligned with some higher will or some kind of higher intention instead of just some clinginess or raw aggression or something like not so, I don't know, it's not so desired. And sexual healing is a big thing. I also practice yoni massages, the tantric massages for women,
right.
and it's, I can say that is so much hidden there within us that wants to be released, wants to be explored, wants to be healed. So I can completely relate that what we are doing is very, very much needed. So yeah, I wonder if there are some questions there.
Yeah, I'm just seeing so many.
We'll comment on
Jackie.
it.
Wow, so many beautiful people here.
Yeah, so if someone finds a question for us, please ask. If we find it interesting, we will answer. And
Yes, ask your questions, people.
our lovely conversations because I'm everything you're doing. And yeah, so I wanted to ask you also once you started practicing ropes, because before that you were much more like vanilla, more like a little erotic, but not as much like all the crazy rope stuff. But I'm curious, how did your like friends, family, and your social media followers, how did they respond to this change? Like, did people understand you right away, or was it a struggle? Was there a lot of misunderstanding around it?
Yeah, wow. It's a big subject for me actually because I come from a very traditional, somewhat religious upbringing,
Huh.
very conventional, very in the box. And even though I haven't been living in the community for many years, but still, you know, my whole upbringing was very, you know, a regular conservative upbringing. Um, what can I say? My journey, my posts, my sharings really triggered people, many people, constantly, to the point where my auntie called me up the other day telling me that people have been screenshotting my sharings and passing them around WhatsApp groups in England and yeah, people are shocked by me. They think that I'm going through a really hard time. And also the other way, like I get, oops, this is falling, sorry. Um, I get many messages in my inbox on a weekly basis. Most of them are people that are really inspired by the journey and want to ask questions, or you know, something that I have shared really touched them. And I love that. This is what I do this for, you know, for those people, because for me, changing one person's life is everything. And I have a lot of these people that reach out to me, and I love that. And on the other hand, I get a lot of messages of people like, what the fuck? Isn't your mom connected to Facebook? shouldn't you be ashamed of yourself? How could you be, you know, a lot of voices, a lot of voices. And what I understood inside of myself, like I was trying to think, what is my aim? What do I want? What do I want people to feel? And the truth is that I don't mind. I want to move people. How it meets them is less.
Hello, Natalie. What's going on there? Will you come back or will you not? Let me see if I can. Okay, Natalie's gone. Hopefully she's coming back because I was super thrilled to listen to what she was sharing. Let me just ask her to come back right now so we can continue listening to her. How do you explore this safely, enjoyably if you've never done it before? Yes, so I guess in the meantime, I can be the one to share something from my side that if you've never done it before, it's of course understandable that you can have concerns for safety and for connection or for results, right? Because different healers, different masters bring something different to you. So my recommendation is to really learn about your master. Yes, connect to your master. Find their testimonials, other people that worked with them. Just get a sense of your own intuition, if it feels like it's clicking or it feels like no. And trust it, yes. And of course, trust the expertise. Find out how experienced they are. Maybe you have a chance to watch their work on videos. Maybe you have a chance to talk to other masters about this person. So I highly recommend you, before getting into Shibari's surrender journey, to connect as deep as possible to your master. And I can say, as a professional dominatrix of 12 years, that I was always surprised how many people came to see me without knowing anything about me. Some would just find a picture of me being sexy in leather and hoping to get like a beautiful surrender experience. But at the same time, they just didn't know anything about me. So I was always amazed. How can people like trust me to that extent without knowing much about me? How can they trust me that I can guide them to a good place? So personally, when I would choose someone as my master, I would be very careful. I would be really like taking my time to ask other people who were guided by this master. I would be connecting to that master one-on-one just to talk and get a sense of it. I would be watching videos, pictures, everything, review testimonials, blogs, every possible way to convince myself on the mental level, on emotional level, on the intuitive level. Oh, there she is. Yes. So this is my recommendation on that. Joining back.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I got a chance to answer a question while I was waiting for you. And but yes, you were sharing a beautiful story about your Natalie, you there? What's going on? Yes, you are. So you were sharing the story about how you came out on social media, and some of your followers would give you like positive, amazing feedback, and some people wouldn't, completely misunderstand you. And yeah, I just wanted to wrap this up and see, was it really challenging for you to make this? How did you deal with this?
Honestly, it wasn't so challenging, actually. I think I've reached a point in my life where I am so whole with what I do.
Oops. Yes.
And I also have a lot of experience in begging for approval of certain people in my life. And you know, for years I have been in this war with intimate partners and family members, and I've always been looking to be accepted, and And after so many years of that, I really found a place of peace, that I accept myself so truly that it doesn't matter to me, really, really. It's like I know that I want to move people, and that's okay. People cannot handle what I do, that's okay. People love what I do, that's okay. I'm just being me. And I love me, and I believe in what I do. I love what I do. And I guess I'm the most important one that should care about how I am with myself, you know?
Wow, it's a good confirmation of my attitude towards that, because very often you want to do something that inspires you, and how much fear we have of public opinion, how much we have doubts about it based on what people say, and many of us are very hesitant about this. And I feel like, what if there's something you want to take out of this broadcast, that could be like, just go for it. If something you're passionate about, something that you believe that brings joy, happiness, and healing to others, then just really do it, and the right people will find you. And
Right.
stages like this, actually, when I first became a dominatrix, honestly, I was really lucky. That was the time where I felt like a total outcast already. Like, I felt like I was rejected by everything already, because no matter how much I tried to be a good girl, it wasn't working at all. Like, I tried more to be a good girl, and I was rejected even more. There was like really a sense that I went to the opposite extreme of trying to be nice and please everyone, and people would just use me as a doormat at some point. It was so obvious that I was really trying, please love me, please love me, please love me.
Mm.
Like this kind of desperate attempt to actually receive love. And then I didn't get it. And then I went to the opposite protest, like, now you'll get my anger. And I became a
Wow.
Natalie right away. And yeah, my mom was quite surprised. But I thought you were such a good girl. So I was first balancing between extremes, and my first dominatrix figure was really like sadistic one. I was first
Mm.
into like heavy, brutal,
Mm.
and only then eventually, as I started my path of healing, as my path of like going to Kopangan, you learning yoga, tantra, meditation, I slowly started to breach those two personas in me together, as the good girl that was raised to be a pleaser of others, and then a brutal, like, protester, like, was resentful, like, full of like desire to crush and kill everything. And then those two started to come together. The body figure that I am playing feels like most authentic role for me. Of course, we all play roles. This is also, in some way, we choose the role for ourselves, and
Right.
roles can be completely like misaligned and totally fake and totally like with the wrong intention. Uh,
Right.
roles can be also beautiful roles, something pleasure to watch, something
Right.
others, something that feels harmonious and pleasing. And so I feel like Shibari has this incredible elements of unity, of different elements, different worlds. It has this element of fire, and it also has the elements of like softness, like more like nourishing. It has element of pain, but it has element of pleasure, elements
Yeah.
of fear, but elements of,
Mm.
so you kind of have a full spectrum of humanness in the experience. And it's
Right.
just about, like, just like you shared, like, of course, maybe for some people it's only about being tortured until the worst possible pain comes, and at the same time it's not about being pleased. Shibari is not about just being comfortable and nourished only, and just given some happy ending, whatever. Like, it's not that either. It's somewhere
Right.
where you get to meet different subtle aspects of yourself and reach certain subtle aspects of your soul that are calling to be reached, but somehow you are too distracted externally. So yeah, if you would ask me, for me, what Shibari would be is mostly about going inward and meeting yourself in different ways. And there are so many pieces of ourselves that are craving to be met, and we just don't have an opportunity to
Right.
meet them. And this is just one of the beautiful ways to feel safe to surrender. And when you feel safe to surrender, this is when you have a chance to really to yourself. And when you connect to yourself, this is when it's easier to connect to the world. And a lot of beauty starts from deep, deep connection to yourself.
Right. And what you learn in the ropes, you take to life. It's like how I can surrender to someone in the ropes. I have now become a professional surrenderer. It's crazy. You know, I can surrender like upon my will, of course, in any situation, in dance, in life, in business, in everything. I know how to surrender so well, and I also know how to lead healthily, you know, being present, being seeing, being focused. Everything that I learn about myself in the ropes, I I take it to my life.
Yes, that's so beautiful. I just recently had a client who gave me a testimonial that, wow, everything I went through in ropes were so beautiful. I got to experience all my rage, all my pain, all my longings, all my tenderness, all the qualities. Like, I feel so bad that you left, because I was in Miami giving him a journey. And I felt so bad that you left, because when will I have a chance to experience such full spectrum of humanness in my life? And I'm like, dude, don't you realize that it happens all the time to you? And this is just a model, an example of you
Right.
hours.
So
And now
much.
continue this. It's just the beginning. It was just like a new birth for you to get to connect to yourself in such way of surrender, not instead of running from yourself. And then
Right.
yourself in a spirit of surrender, you can see, how can I bring this to life? How can I learn a similar experience? And also another example for me was then one woman came to me in Austin, and she went through a very strugglesome experience. Like, no matter how I tie her in my most gentle style, she was really struggling. Everything was really hard, because she was really a control freak in her life. She was holding the whole world on her shoulders. So her was wired against giving up. Like, she was constantly in the fight or flight mode. So it was hard for her to surrender. 3 hours was like a total torture for her. And yet she was very grateful for this experience. She said she learned a lot from it. And the next day I'm flying back to New York, and everything goes wrong with my flights. My bag's lost. I'm transferred
Oh,
flight. My customer representative is nasty with me. And then I have clients in New York, so I'm late. And I'm struggling, and I'm struggling, and I'm struggling. And no matter what I do, I feel like this is it. I'm stuck in some unknown airport for the night. And my client just wasted her trip to New York. All this stuff that comes in my mind. And I'm struggling, and I'm struggling. And then I'm remembering my client from yesterday. Like, wait a minute. She just went through a struggle. She paid a lot of money for it, and she was grateful for it. Can I do this too? And then I
wow.
just drop my bags in the floor, and I just sit in the airport in the middle of nowhere, not knowing what's going on, where I'm going next, whether I'm flying or whether I'm not flying. And I just give up. Like, I'm trapped. I don't know what to do. Nothing depends on me now. I can just give up. And there comes like this very sweet softness of total give up, total give up, surrender, give up. And it happens. And it's like incredible that my client from yesterday actually inspired this moment of
Wow.
total surrender. And then some part of me says, hey, and I didn't have to pay for it. I just got this experience for free. And then I'm
Wow.
myself, but wait, life gives it to us all the time. What we're paying for is to learn how to
Right.
experience this
Right.
there, not just to get hooked in the experience of ropes, but instead learn from ropes and bring this to life. And I cannot say I'm an expert either. There are deeper layers of learning, and I'm constantly learning to surrender deeper. Once I learn to surrender on one level, next time I have to surrender even deeper, even deeper, even deeper levels of surrender are possible. And I feel like by teaching others, I'm also learning myself to go deeper. And then by receiving it from others, I'm also learning to go deeper. And then my masters are hopefully how to go deeper. So I feel like this is the philosophy that really combines our experience here, how to live life
Wow.
in a spirit of surrender instead of constantly fighting, controlling life, manipulating life,
Right.
get what you want no matter what. Like, how
Right.
flow with life? How can you really lose control, not in a way that you become a doormat, but the opposite, lose control and join some higher intelligence that can guide you in much softer way? Of course, doesn't mean painless, but some kind of more fluid, more aligned way, more powerful way. Because seriously, most powerful, beautiful discoveries and achievements, if you hear the stories of people who got there, of course they say there was some hard work involved, but the breakthroughs come from a moment of surrender. Breakthrough, you just give up, and then some inspiration takes you deeper and further. So
Right.
what seems to be our mutual inspiration to keep.
Yeah. And I really can say that this year has been one of the most transforming years of my life, and it was just because I decided to surrender. And what does that mean? Like in life, what does that mean? For me, it was to be so listening to the direction of the wind, where the wind is taking me. And sometimes I would really be upset, like, I want to go there, the wind is taking me there, and I would be like, but why? But I would always listen, not understanding. I would go in the path the wind is taking me. And I have never been so happy than this whole year. I have received unknown gifts that I can't believe are happening, that came to my life. And it's because I surrendered to my mind, who thinks I know what is good for me. And when I really surrender to the existence, the way the existence wants me to flow, that's when I have received my biggest gifts. This surrendering to life, this has been one of my greatest journeys this year. And if I give one thing to anyone in this call, it's this: is to listen to where you're being guided, because there is a flow. The wind is taking you somewhere. If you resist it, you will just go in the wrong direction. You will be resisting, you will die. It's like a death.
Wow, that's such a beautiful, beautiful ending for our talk, because journal, like explorations, like sharing all the experiences, but then it brings us deeper, deeper into this unity
Because
of.
this is what it's all about. All of these explorations is to clean us up. And when we are clean, we are more connected to listening. We can hear the higher voices, where they are sending us. This is the point of all this work, is to clean ourselves, to make space inside our bodies, so we can receive more, we can receive gifts, we can create, we can manifest, we can love. How can we love if we have so much yucky old stories and stuff inside of us? We cannot. We cannot. So the ropes, the dance, the erotic explorations, they're all just to clean us up and to surrender to life.
Yes, surrender. Oh, actually an amazing start of my day, and I really hope this conversation inspired many to explore in life, whether ropes or no ropes, whether erotic exploration or not. But whatever you do, consider trying flowing and surrendering instead of fighting and flying all the time.
Yes.
There's some little for both of us. Thank you so much, Natalie, for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
Please share with us how to find your offerings. Maybe I guess we can post links after we finish this talk. But
Yeah.
time you can share where people can learn and find you and find out about what you do.
So I will just give a little bit of introductory, and then I will add to this video all of the links. But so I have my Instagram page of rope healing, which you can follow and see my rope artwork. I also have a radio show where I interview amazing people. I had you a couple of weeks, which was an amazing conversation. So I have a radio show where we talk about taboo and sex and relationships and intimacy and all of the things that we were told not to talk about. And the radio show is called Let's Talk About. You could find it also in Instagram and also on Facebook. We go live on Facebook right now. And then I have my Art of Sensual Couple Dance, which I will put the video and the links to that too. Yeah, I have many things. I have so many things, but these are the main. These are the main.
It's now on my IGTV channel on Instagram, so you can post links right underneath it, so people know how to do and ask you questions if needed. And please feel free, those who are watching it in the recording, please feel free to post questions underneath, and we will be happy to answer, because we love answering amazing questions.
Yes.
Wishing everybody a beautiful day.
Wow, just thank you to everyone. I'm just looking at all of these messages. Wow, amazing. Thank you everyone for being here. Wow, wow, wow. Feeling honored.
Lovely to connect, dear. Bye-bye.
Bye, honey.